Good evening. Per the City Charter in Chapter 5, Section 2, Subsection 1 states that the mayor would deliver a written and oral report on the state and condition of the city and on any recommendations the mayor deems appropriate at the first meeting of the council in March of each year. So it is my pleasure to introduce Hartford's 67th mayor of the city of Hartford, Mayor Luke Aaron Bronin.
Council President Clark, members of the Court of Common Council, Treasurer Cloud, Secretary of the State Denise Merrill, to our Hartford legislative delegation to the General Assembly, thank you for your service to our state and to our city. It is a privilege to work in partnership with you. To the citizens of Hartford, thank you for allowing me to serve you as your mayor. And to our local businesses, small and large, to our nonprofit partners, to our faith-based leaders and community volunteers, thank you for your commitment to our great city. And to the hard-working employees in every city department, thank you for what you do every single day for the people of Hartford. I'm proud to work alongside you. Finally, to my wife Sarah and our 3 kids, thank you and I love you. Our city is the economic and cultural heart of this region. It is the capital city, home to cultural institutions that outshine cities much larger than ours, home to a business community that includes world-class global companies and creative, small local entrepreneurs, home to residents who work so hard, who provide for their families, who serve their community, who persevere. One Hartford, diverse, resilient, with a downtown that is increasingly vibrant, with distinct neighborhoods that are the true soul of our city, with magnificent architecture and parks, a legacy of our proud history. And so I can, with confidence, report that the state of our city can and will be strong if we face our challenges honestly, with clear vision, and with an unflinching willingness to do the difficult things those challenges demand. I stand here as a new mayor. You put your faith and trust in me along with this new city council to lead our city forward. I will honor that trust by being forthright with you always. And so I must also report, as directly and as plainly as I can, that the state of our city's financial condition is dire. We are in a state of fiscal emergency. How did we get here? Part of the answer is that for too long, Hartford failed to make the tough choices that were required. Past administrations borrowed liberally. To make things easier in the short run, they refinanced debt, pushing payments into the future. That bill is now coming due. This year, the amount we will pay for debt service, the equivalent of mortgage payments on a home, was $10 million. Next year, it will be close to $30 million. And the year after that, and by 2019, it will be nearly $50 million. That's if we don't borrow another dollar, which is not realistic. Past administrations promised benefits that Hartford's tax base cannot support. Our annual contributions to the pension fund have gone from $10 million in 2010 to more than $40 million this year and next. And our health care costs rise dramatically every year. The city of Hartford administers more than 60 different health insurance plans for retirees, a costly burden that defies logic but is required by past negotiations. When some employees leave service, they receive 6-figure payouts of sick and vacation time. And when some employees retire today, they retire with annual pensions that far exceed their base pay. I don't say this to disparage our hardworking city employees. They earned those benefits under the contracts they negotiated. I believe that those who serve the public deserve good benefits and a safe retirement. But the reality is that for too long, the city of Hartford made promises that are not sustainable. And of course, past administrations raised taxes again and again. Today, Hartford's small businesses pay the highest taxes in the state, more than twice what they'd pay in almost any neighboring town. Those tax increases raised money in the short term, but they drove businesses out and made it harder and harder for Hartford to grow. Facing big deficits, past administrations bought time with one-time revenues, selling parking garages, raiding long-term employee benefit reserves. If you look at the budgets of the last few years and you take out the one-time revenues, our city has been running tens of millions of dollars in deficit year after year. Today we are in a crisis, and we cannot avoid it, we cannot ignore it, and we cannot solve it unless we are all willing to make very difficult, very painful decisions. On June 30th, we will finish this fiscal year millions of dollars in deficit and will draw down nearly half of the city's reserves. This year's problem is small in comparison to next year's and the years beyond. Without painful choices, we will soon face deficits so big that even eliminating our entire fire department and our entire police department would not close the gap. We're like a household that's taken out a second mortgage, maxed out the credit cards, and borrowed money from family and friends to keep up with the payments. And while we've made some changes in the household budget, we didn't make nearly enough. As long as our expenses remain higher than our income, the problem will get worse. In years past, we might have hoped for relief from the state. Today, the state of Connecticut faces its own crisis. And the best we can probably hope for is to avoid getting cut. We cannot expect any bailouts from the state. What can we expect? There must be cuts in services, and there will be layoffs. Difficult cuts that no one wants to make, and that in better times we wouldn't even contemplate. Cuts in services that are important, not cutting fat, sacrificing things that really matter. There must be significant changes in labor contracts even with those layoffs, because there's no choice. We must consider decreasing our pension contributions, not because our pensions are fully funded, but because a city in our financial shape doesn't have the luxury of fully funding pensions in the near term. There must be help from our tax-exempt institutions. Institutions that are a vital part of our community as employers, as centers of excellence, as points of pride. Institutions whose financial help we still need. We must have a conversation with our largest property owners. Those companies pay large tax bills already, and their philanthropic giving supports countless organizations serving Hartford residents. But we must nonetheless ask them to do more. We may need changes in state law to accomplish some of these goals, and we will seek whatever changes we believe are necessary to put Hartford on a sound foundation, working in partnership with our outstanding Hartford delegation. I've been blunt about the mistakes that got us here. I've been blunt about some of the steps that we must take. But let me be equally blunt in saying this. Over the long term, we can't do this on our own here in Hartford. The deepest cuts, the most painful concessions, the elimination of services, and even the most generous help from partners here in Hartford, all of that will only get us part of the way toward closing the gap in the years ahead. Because while part of the problem was a failure to make tough choices in the past, part of the problem is beyond the direct control of any mayor or any city council. Our city is less than 18 square miles. Property taxes are our only real source of local revenue, yet more than half our property is tax exempt because we are home to institutions that serve the region and the state, but which pay no taxes to the city of Hartford. We live in a region that is among the most affluent in the country, yet we shoulder the responsibility of serving neighborhoods that are among the poorest in America. That responsibility must be shared more broadly. Not just for Hartford's sake, but for the region and for the state. This region needs a strong, healthy urban center at its core. And if we allow Hartford to fall into a cycle of crisis and decline, the impact will be felt not just in Hartford, but in home prices, home sales, and unemployment numbers in West Hartford, Simsbury, Windsor, Glastonbury, Bloomfield, and in every surrounding town. If, on the other hand, we position ourselves to compete with the Austins, the Pittsburghs, the Louisvilles of America, the entire region will reap the rewards in jobs, in home prices, and in a virtuous cycle of innovation and growth. In the long run, aside from getting our own house in order, which we will do, there are three parts to the solution, all of which require us to build a consensus far beyond our borders. One is greater support from the state, despite the state's budget crisis. Hartford is the state capital, and we all share an interest in and responsibility for Hartford's success. Another is to stop talking about regionalism and start regionalizing. Regionalizing can take many forms: sharing of services, sharing of tax revenues, or, as nearly every successful metro region in the country has done, actually breaking down borders. Let there be no mistaking this reality. If we collectively cling to our New England provincialism for too long, and sooner or later, we will find ourselves mourning the loss of the New England that we love. And a third part, which rests in the hands of the broader American electorate, is for the federal government to make real investments once again in state and local government, in transportation, in infrastructure, in education, in public safety, in research and development, in youth employment. The kinds of investments that helped make America great in the first place. I have spoken at length tonight about our fiscal position, and I will continue to speak publicly and plainly in town halls and community meetings where residents have the chance to ask me direct questions. This administration will tackle our challenges head on, regardless of the political cost. But this administration will not be defined by crisis alone. Even as we work hard to make the changes we need, we will fight for our priorities. We remain committed to doing everything we can to make our streets safer and our neighborhoods stronger, by recruiting the next generation of police officers as so many Hartford police prepare to retire, by modernizing law enforcement, using cameras and other technology, and by engaging our community more effectively. We embrace the principle that small things matter. Blighted properties, empty lots, and litter can weigh down a neighborhood, and fixing those small things can change the way a whole community feels. We will use every legal tool available to combat blight, to transfer chronically blighted properties into productive, caring hands. We will continue to seek private resources to help put our young men and women to work, with a particular focus on building a youth service corps that gives our young people a chance to earn a paycheck while working for their community. And I will advocate tirelessly for changes in our criminal justice system that will help make Connecticut and Hartford a true second chance society. That means lobbying private employers to ban the box and hire individuals regardless of their record. It means reforming pre-trial detention so that jail time has more to do with your crime and less to do with your ability to make bail. And that means continuing to reform the pardon and parole process. Most important of all, we will do everything we can to recruit and retain employers, small and big, so we can grow jobs in this city. We will help build a city that fosters innovation, incubation, and entrepreneurship because that's what drives real long-term growth, not baseball stadiums. When I launched my campaign for mayor a year ago, I said that Hartford is at a moment of tremendous opportunity and tremendous challenges. I believe that more than ever. Next year, the University of Connecticut will open its doors downtown. In 2018, we will see commuter rail service linking New Haven, Hartford, and Springfield. The Capital Region Development Authority, which has fueled the residential development in the downtown, now has capital set aside for investment in our neighborhoods. There is increased interest in developing in Hartford and a renewed excitement about Hartford and the surrounding towns. The opportunities are real and they are near. But the challenges are also real and they are already here. The only way to seize our opportunities is to confront our challenges. Tonight, I ask all of you to join me in securing Hartford's future by confronting its financial challenges boldly. We will not accept a future of decline for our city. We will build Hartford on a sound foundation so that what we build will last. We will do whatever it takes to ensure that sometime in the future, a mayor will be able to stand in this chamber and say with confidence that the state of our city has never been stronger. Thank you all. May God bless America. May God bless the state of Connecticut, and may God bless the great city of Hartford. Thank you all for being here.
That concludes our State of the City address. We will begin our public portion of the council meeting at 6 o'clock.